I'm saying that because we've all seen recently the whole narrative about South Africa and the challenges that African migrants have had in South Africa.
Okay.
I have to tell you that it's not just an issue for South Africa. Where I am, in Libya, it is a point where the majority of African migrants trying to go to Europe try to exit through Libyan corridors because the state institutions are weak.
Okay.
But
South Africa defeated Ghana's effort to table a conversation about xenophobia at the African Union. And I'm not surprised South Africa won this round because Ghana did not play this one right. And I'll explain to you what I mean by that in this video. The reason why Ghana lost the framing of this conversation is because of something that happened in 1978. In 1977, Congo-Brazzaville.
Hello guys, how are you all doing? It's another day. Let's talk about Ghana and South Africa at the recent AU African Union meeting. So when Ghana wanted to discuss about the xenophobic attack happening in South Africa, the South African government blocked them not to talk about it. They should rather talk about the migrational crisis faced by immigrants. To be honest, I saw one of Ghana ministers said South Africa is not even doing anything compared to what Libyans are doing. And to be honest, Ghanaians, look, the highest immigrants in Ghana, in Libya are Ghanaians. Like, why are Ghanaians leaving their country to other people's country? Like, guys, it's too much. Ghanaians will tell Nigerians to go back to their country. They don't want Nigerians in Ghana. But Ghanaians don't stay in their country. Ghanaians don't stay in their country. In as much as we are blaming South Africa for everything that is happening, but Ghana to Chale, make una they stay for our country now. Libya, look at how they are treating Ghanaians in Libya. Look at how they are treating Ghanaians in Libya. Ghanaians cannot even say anything. Imagine South Africans stood their ground that they should rather discuss about immigration crisis faced by African immigrants, and they had to go with what South Africans suggested instead of going with what Ghanaians are facing in South Africa and Nigerians. That means they choose South African side, right? They choose South African side. I really feel like we Africans, we should fix our country. You get, you're a Cameroonian, you're a Ghanaian, you are a Nigerian, Sierra Leone, Uganda, Kenya. We should fix our country. Because in as much as we are talking about everything that is happening, if our country was actually doing well, there's no way we'll be going to that South Africa in the first place. There is no way. If Ghana was actually doing well, there is no way Ghanaians will be in Libya. Look at how Ghanaians are being treated. Look at how Ghanaians are being treated, guys. Anyway, if you're new on this channel, this is your first time watching my videos, don't forget to subscribe. Guys, I will be dropping my first vlog. Oh guys, I just moved into another place. If you've been in UAE, if you know Dubai, a lot of people, when they talk about UAE, people talk about, they know only Dubai. So I was in Abu Dhabi, but right now I moved into another city, another emirate called Alain. I'll be dropping my first vlog, guys. I will show you how my room looks like. Stay tuned. Tomorrow, if you have not subscribed to Betting Vlog, just go there and subscribe, okay? Because I'll be dropping another video. Oh my god, guys.
I can assure you that that journey is probably more perilous than the current situation in South Africa.
Yeah.
And the number of people who die on their way there, right? And the work that I think, well, not that I think, I know that our embassy has to do in Libya, especially when they find out that there are Ghanaians who have perished along the way, and they actually retrieve their bodies and give them Muslim funerals. That data has not been in the public domain as much, and so we're not cognizant of the scale at which it is happening. But I think that we should pay more attention to it, because for all of those who believe that the path to Europe is the way in which they are going to achieve their futures, we should be very, very sensitive to the fact that Europe and the Western world is closing its doors to illegal migration.
Facts.
And so what does that mean? With regard to the Western world, I think both at the continental, sub-regional level and as a country, we would have to expand our efforts to negotiate for legal labor channels and the protection of the rights of diaspora citizens, whose remittances are an important source of foreign exchange inflows. Among African member states themselves, I anticipate that this will be a contentious issue that will require very sensitive conversations to take place, because juxtaposing the desire of some member states to get rid of what they consider to be illegal migrants, returning them to their host countries, while at the same time advocating for the ease of travel restrictions and making it easier to travel across our continent in order to be able to do business is going to be a very sensitive balancing act. And given the fact that we have quite a large diaspora, both abroad in the Western world, but also within the continent, I would say that going forward, that is going to be a particularly significant issue for Ghana that we should be paying attention to. Because we also do not necessarily welcome all the migrants who come into our space. And we also are not necessarily entirely pleased with having people congregating around our traffic lights, coming from different parts of the region, who we consider to be foreigners. And even though we're not expelling them, the truth of the matter is that we're not really welcoming to them either. And so if we think that this is not going to be something that we have to focus on, both in the short and medium term, then I think we're deluding ourselves. So going forward, especially at the national level, I would suggest that this is something we have to focus on in much more detail. So in short, we've got to invest in building institutions that are in a state of readiness, not just to promote our economic development, but to respond rapidly to threats and crises. That means not only focusing primarily on economic growth and prosperity, as important as that is, but also on human security, social cohesion, in order to build a resilient state. Over the years, we've done an incredible amount of work on policies, programs, and initiatives. Now the emphasis must be on effective implementation and execution, monitoring and evaluation, and ensuring that the resources we have available are put to efficient use to achieve these outcomes. We need to build a resilient state to meet the challenge of a multipolar, competitive, and interest-based world order, and engage in active diplomacy within our continent and beyond, especially with our sub-regional neighbors, to survive the storms ahead.
Sent out a lot of West Africans who were living over there. And in 1978, Senegal brought up the conversation around how Congo-Brazzaville did it, because it's similar to the images we've been seeing from South Africa in the last month. And they brought it before the OAU at the time. The way they framed it was mass expulsion in Africa. Why does it matter? By framing it as mass expulsion in Africa, you know that the OAU and now the AU is a diplomatic body that's established for the goal of uniting Africa. So, singling out an African country when there's no war over there in framing of a conversation like this usually makes the conversation a matter of litigation instead of a conversation about getting to a solution. And usually in the case of diplomacy, especially in AU, they avoid that. The AU Commission on Human Rights already issued some statement about South Africa. They get to do that because they said what South Africa is doing is against the Human Rights Charter of AU. But the AU as a whole body, usually framing things always takes the form of generalization. So everybody in 1978 knew that Congo-Brazzaville was the target, but it was still framed by Senegal as mass expulsion in Africa. The framing headline, it matters in diplomacy. So sometimes, right, depending on the venue, you can use fighting words. On Twitter, you can use fighting words. Okudeto does that. I like when he does that on Twitter. But at the executive council meeting, you don't use fighting words, you use diplomatic words. So Okudeto is using Twitter language on the AU Executive Council floor, and that is why South Africa won this round. Simple and tietia. You have to know where you are. As a person who women have told this several times, sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you said it. It's not what Okudeto brought up, it is how he brought it up.
So guys, you all have listened to what Ghanaian says. The Ghanaian man says South Africa has outsmarted Ghanaians, to be honest, and also look at what the Ghanaian lady is saying. I think us Africans, we are blaming South Africa, yes, because of the way they tackle immigration crisis in their country. But on the other hand, we should also blame our government, because our government has failed us too much. Our government has failed us, so they have failed us a lot. There are some countries where their immigrants go to other countries just for vacation. They don't even go there to work. You're going to Libya to do what there? As a Ghanaian, what are you going there to do? I heard that basic salary for Ghanaians is like 300 Ghana cedis. What is 300 Ghana cedis gonna do to you? When some of them, their apartment costs 300 Ghana cedis, it's just too small, right? It's too small. I saw Ghanaians on the internet complaining of how house rent is high. They should talk to their government, to talk to landlord to reduce house rent. How can a landlord be giving house on 300 Ghana cedis when their basic salary is like 500 Ghana cedis? Guys, it's so painful. It's so painful. We African leaders really need to do better. We need to do better. We need to do better. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching my videos.